Hello out there in YouTube land, it is Isaac with two A's, two of them things. Back at it again with another video. Today's video we are watching Loopers, Small Details You Missed in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So I just recently saw Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, thought it was amazing, loved the moments, the Invincible-esque type scene was one of my faves. There definitely were horror elements, which were really cool in it. So I don't know everything. I've watched all the Marvel things, but I don't know everything. I don't keep up with like a lot of the comics, but I've watched everything. I'm gonna be watching Thor: Love and Thunder. But I want to see what I've missed and what I realized. But yeah, I really did like the fight moment with Miss and obviously this is spoilers, but with Miss Wanda and the League of the Illuminati or whatever. That was like a really dope moment. It was definitely giving Carrie slash Invincible vibes. The Invincible comic slash show on Amazon. It was definitely she was giving Omni-Man slash Carrie for sure. So yeah, let's check out and see what small details I may have missed.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is a dense movie with new characters from the comics, old friends from other universes, internet-breaking cameos, and most importantly, Bruce Campbell. These are all the little things you may have missed. Warnings, spoilers ahead.
One thing I want to say, I didn't know that the director of this made Evil Dead, and I haven't seen any of those movies, but I know there was a remake, and I know the actor that they just talked about was in the originals, so, because I was like, why is he here?
When America Chavez arrives on Earth 616 in the
I like
Multiverse of
her.
Madness, she's followed by a monstrous creature under Scarlet Witch's control. The one-eyed, many-tentacled beast makes a mess of downtown New York City, but it's ultimately dispatched by the combined efforts of Doctor Strange and Sorcerer Supreme Wong. Merchandising for the movie calls this creature by the name Gargantos, which in the comics is the name of a sea monster that serves the subaquatic conqueror Naga. In truth, the design of the MCU's Gargantos is much more similar to Shumagorath, an eldritch being of immense power who's a major player in the comics. Shumagorath is of particular significance to Doctor Strange, being a consistent foe for the Sorcerer and even causing the death of the Ancient One in Marvel Premiere back in 1973. Unfortunately, Marvel Studios was unable to use the Shumagorath name in Multiverse of Madness due to a rights issue, according to online reports. Still, the fusion of the Old One's visual design and Gargantos' name is a fun combo, and it makes for an exciting battle. America Chavez is something of a queer icon in the comics, where she's openly gay. That aspect of her identity isn't really addressed in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where America spends most of her time running from monsters and trying to evade capture. However, she does sport a bit of visible queer pride in the form of a pride flag pin, specifically the more modern version designed by Daniel Quasar, which includes additional colors representing the transgender community and queer people of color. Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige has confirmed that she's still canonically queer in the MCU. After escaping from Scarlet Witch at Kamartaj, Doctor Strange and America Chavez fall through a portal that hits a number of different alternate universes on the way down. It's a visually stunning montage that demands to be rewatched, if only because of the many little Easter eggs sprinkled throughout it. Some of the worlds glimpsed in the portal scene are pretty explicit in their weirdness. People are paint, people are made of blocks, people are cartoons, but others may be winks and nods to some different places in the Marvel comic multiverse.
That was a cool
Among the
moment.
many dimensions that Strange and America plummet through are a black and white world reminiscent of Marvel's noir comics, a sci-fi cityscape reminiscent of the 2099 timeline, and a prehistoric-looking universe that could be a reference to the Savage Land, which, to be fair, is a part of Earth 616 in the comics. There's also a very brief shot of what appears to be a looming cosmic figure, none other than the fearsome Living Tribunal. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness takes viewers to a lot of different dimensions, but most of the movie's runtime is spent in two primary realities: the main MCU timeline and the one where the Illuminati rule. A variant of Dr. Christine Palmer designates the first of these worlds as Earth 616, and the second one, the one she lives in, is Earth 838. She also mentions that she works for the Baxter Foundation, a foreshadowing of the Fantastic Four reveal that follows soon thereafter, since the Super Team's classic headquarters in the comics is the Baxter Building. If you're a fan of the Marvel Comics to any extent, 616 barely counts as an Easter egg. It's the primary universe of the comics canon where most of the main action takes place. With that in mind, it makes total sense that the MCU would give its own primary universe the same numerical designation, but it's still fun to hear the number actually spoken out loud. Though, to be fair, this isn't the first time we've actually seen this mentioned. Back in Thor: The Dark World, Dr. Eric Selvig has 616 Universe written on a chalkboard in the background, and in Spider-Man: Far From Home, Mysterio mentions it too.
There are multiple realities, Peter. This is Earth, Dimension 616. I'm from Earth 833.
Though how the con artist Mysterio managed to get that number right is something of a mystery. Lucky guess. If you're a fan of director Sam Raimi, chances are good that you're a fan of Bruce Campbell too. Ever since playing Ash in the Evil Dead films, Campbell has been a favorite actor among horror movie fans in particular, as well as a prolific actor all around. Those who haven't seen Evil Dead may know Campbell from his co-starring role as Sam Axe on Burn Notice or as Autolycus in Xena Warrior Princess. Or maybe you know him from one of his multiple guest roles in Maguire starring Spider-Man, which also happened to be directed by Sam Raimi.
I've seen his face so much throughout my childhood, but I could never pinpoint exactly. And I love horror movies, but I never watched the Evil Dead series, but I've seen him in so many. He's just a familiar face, but I was just like, there's a reason why he's here. So it's nice that that's the reason why.
Hello.
Campbell and Raimi first met as kids, and they've remained close friends and collaborators ever since. The two rose to fame together with the original Evil Dead trilogy, and Campbell has continued to appear in small roles throughout the director's filmography. In Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Campbell plays a sidewalk restaurateur by the name of Pizza Papa on Earth 838. He only appears in 2 scenes, an early moment after Doctor Strange and America arrive in his universe where he yells at them for stealing one of his pizza balls, and the second and last post-credit scene in the film, where he's shown being tormented by Strange's self-slapping spell, a callback to a similar Bruce versus Hand scene in Evil Dead 2.
Oh yeah, he has like an evil hand or something, right?
Even in that brief time, though, Campbell quickly reminds audiences why he's such a beloved talent. While wandering through Earth 838 with Doctor Strange, America Chavez happens upon a device that turns your most important memories into projected video clips.
That was
when
really
she uses
interesting.
the machine, it shows a tragic moment from her childhood when she accidentally opened a portal for the first time and her mothers were sucked into it, never to be seen again. The scene isn't elaborated on much in the film, but many of the details are strikingly similar to America's comic book origin story. In the comics, America is born in a dimension outside of the normal multiverse called the Utopian Parallel. She does tragically lose her parents in that story as well, who are both women, but it's due to an external crisis instead of her own powers. The more interesting part of the Utopian Parallel in the context of Multiverse of Madness, however, is that it's directly connected to the godlike being called the Demiurge, also known as Wanda Maximoff's son, Billy. Under the superhero name Wiccan, Billy gradually becomes one of the most powerful characters in the entire Marvel Comics universe, even matching his esteemed mother's magical abilities. His final form is that of the nigh-omnipotent Demiurge, whose power sustains the Utopian Parallel. Doctor Strange 2 doesn't make any direct connection between America Chavez and Wiccan, but the MCU could possibly recreate that storyline somewhere down the road. A big part of...
From what I'm understanding, they have mapped out the next 10 years of what they're going to be doing, so I'm sure there will be a connection somewhere. There's just so many, everything's so intertwined, so it's like, you never know.
The story in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness revolves around the Illuminati, a secretive group of super people who guide Earth 838. Different versions of the group are a major staple of the comics, including in famous storylines like Planet Hulk and Secret Invasion. Each member of the Council in Multiverse of Madness has some unique connection to the rest of the Marvel Universe, which is what makes their role in the film so intriguing.
You brought this on yourself.
The first Illuminati member met in Multiverse of Madness is a variant of Carl Mordo, who, while less evil than the one from Earth 616, still seems to be a bit conniving and prone to anger.
Yes.
Captain Carter will be familiar to those who watched Marvel's What If, which shows a universe in which Peggy Carter, not Steve Rogers, took the super soldier serum. The Captain...
Here's the thing, though. So many people, I watched What If, and so many people were like, there aren't going to be any connections. It's its own thing. I'm like, no, you guys. If they put it out here, there's going to be bits and pieces, and something's going to be in there. Because everything's been connected so far in some way, shape, or form. So it's like, of course, this isn't going to be its own entity.
Create is Maria Rambeau, a close friend of 616.
Monica Rambeau's mama.
Anson Mount's Black Bolt may seem like a newcomer to many viewers, but he first debuted in the
Inhuman?
short-lived TV series Marvel's Inhumans.
Yeah, I never watched
and of course,
that.
Multiverse of Madness finally brings the Fantastic Four to the MCU by introducing John Krasinski's Reed Richards. Last but certainly not...
Now, is he gonna be the next, they just said Fantastic Reed. Is he gonna be the next like lead like in Fantastic Four? Like I don't know. I personally was a fan of the original with Jessica Alba and those actors and the dude from Charmed. But the reboot made no sense. I don't even think any of them were like related or knew each other. They may have been like adopted family or something. I just remember it not being that good. I think I watched it because Michael B. Jordan was in it. I think he was the Torch, but it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. Mm-mm.
Released is Earth 838's variant of Charles Xavier, played as he is in the Fox X-Men movies by Patrick Stewart. Of all the Illuminati members in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Patrick Stewart's Professor X is arguably the most surprising addition. That's partly because the film franchise that made Stewart's version of the character famous was produced entirely by a separate studio. Since Disney's purchase of Fox, the introduction of mutants and the X-Men to the MCU has seemed inevitable, and now Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has officially canonized them. However, the film's Professor X isn't surprising simply because of the actor or because of what his debut means for the future of the MCU.
That was the one thing that was like spoiled. But I mean, we knew that X-Men. I'm just hoping in my lifetime we get a Storm movie and the Storm is filmed correctly and casted appropriate. I mean, I love Halle Berry's Storm, but like just a more we have so many brown skin actresses that we could like really have be Storm. So many people to choose from. And we deserve an amazing Storm with a whole new like storyline, her own movie. I mean, it took so long to get a Black Widow film, so I feel like it's going to be like a long time before we even get a Storm movie, but and it makes me sad knowing that Black Panther and Storm were a couple in the comics, and I don't know if we would get this moment, but if I'm not mistaken, Thor and Storm are a couple in the more recent comics, so maybe we can have that moment. But like, we need a Storm. We need a Storm moment.
It's particularly interesting because everything about him mirrors his incarnation in the 1990s cartoon X-Men the Animated Series, right down to the massive golden chair and the pose he strikes when using his psychic powers. The film even uses a bit of the animated series theme music to herald Xavier's arrival. When his sorcerer's meddling ends in the destruction of Earth 616's Darkhold, Wanda demands that Wong tell her everything he knows about the book and its magic. He refuses at first, but he becomes more agreeable when she starts torturing some surviving sorcerers, one of whom, the Green Minotaur, Rintra, is a major player in the comics, and an eventual apprentice of Doctor Strange himself. Wong reveals that the Darkhold was transcribed from ancient runes and magical knowledge carved into the...
I don't know why I thought the green horn guy was from Ragnarok for some reason.
Mythical Mount Wundagore. When he and Wanda journey there together, they find what seems to be a temple erected in honor of the Scarlet Witch. Wanda's chaos magic in the comics is directly tied to Mount Wundagore, which was the final home of the ancient elder god turned demon Chthon before he left the human realm for a parallel dimension. Wong mentions Chthon by name in Multiverse of Madness, albeit only briefly. In the comics, Wanda is brought to Mount Wundagore as a young child and subjected to relentless experiments with chaos magic, a process that binds her forever to Chthon and his dark powers. The eldritch monsters Wanda finds at the mountain in Multiverse of Madness bow to her because they recognize the chaos magic within her, which essentially makes her both their ruler and their kin. Sam Raimi is one of the masters of the modern horror movie genre, so it only makes sense that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness pays tribute to some of the greats of the past. In particular, Scarlet Witch's bloody crusade parallels her with a number of prominent horror movie characters, each of whom relates to Wanda's arc in some way.
I just thought
During her
Carrie.
brutal assault on Kamar-Taj, Wanda adopts some truly freaky mannerisms. In one shot, she crawls out of a mirror at America Chavez, but her body
That
is all
was good.
contorted and twisted
It was
up in
like cut
impossible
up
ways.
and
For many, this moment will bring back memories of demonic possession films like The Exorcist, which is appropriate given that Wanda's soul has been corrupted and overtaken by the dangerous magic of the Darkhold. Other moments in the Kamar-Taj sequence and some later scenes also style Wanda similarly to the infamous character Kayako Saigi from The Grudge, the 2004 American remake of which was produced by Sam Raimi. In that film, there's a deadly curse that's triggered by powerful negative emotions and death, two things Wanda Maximoff is all too familiar with. Later
Buffy.
on, after Wanda
Oh
successfully
yeah, she wasn't
dreamwalks into
that.
Universe 838, her blood-covered face and clothes and violent behavior harken back to Stephen King's Carrie. Just like Carrie, Wanda has fully realized her powers as the Scarlet Witch, and the results are quite grotesque.
She
Once in the
wore
body
out
of her
everybody.
838 counterpart, Scarlet Witch infiltrates the Illuminati headquarters and makes short work of their Ultron robots, which seem much more mild-mannered and less dangerous than the Ultron of Earth 616. The group of heroes confronts her, and Reed Richards tries to talk her
Yes,
down
Reed
from her
Richards, that's
assault.
his name.
She asks him if he has any children and if their mother is still alive. Mr.
And then
Fantastic
turned him
answers
to
yes to both
string.
questions, and moments later, Wanda literally rips him to shreds.
String.
Fans of the
Miss
Fantastic
Rambo
Four
put a fight. I mean, she started him as an end, but she put up a fight. And I was like, that scene, I was rooting for both sides. I was like, yeah, Wanda's gonna get her. Wanda's gonna get her. And then I'm like, Monica's mother, Rambo, get her, get her, get her. You can do it. You can win. But like, can't kill Wanda because she's still gonna live throughout the rest of the film. So dang it. But yeah, I was really rooting for the new Captain Marvel. Miss Marvel? Miss Marvel? I don't know what their name is supposed to. Captain Marvel? Miss Marvel? I don't know.
comics will know that the mother in question is almost certainly Sue Storm, aka the Invisible Woman. The children themselves could be Franklin and Valeria, the couple's son and daughter in the comics lore. Now that John Krasinski has officially been cast as Mr. Fantastic
Oh,
in
he
the
is? Okay.
MCU, the rumors of his real-world wife, Emily Blunt, playing Sue Storm in the future, may have some newfound credence. Only time will tell. When they're playing...
Would that be too on the nose to have her be... I mean, I love Emily Blunt, but I know they've done both of the Quiet Place, the Quiet Place films, and I'm wondering if that would just be too on the nose to have an acting couple in something else. I mean, maybe it would be perfect. I don't know. Maybe I do love Emily Blunt, so I mean maybe that would be absolutely perfect. And I don't know John Krasinski from The Office. I never watched The Office. Way too many seasons to try and pick up on that now. But I know him from a few The Quiet Place, pretty much. And I've seen his face a lot. But that might be perfect.
Defeat Wanda with the Book of Ashanti goes awry, Doctor Strange and Earth 838's Christine Palmer wind up in a post-apocalyptic netherworld. The realm is the result of an incursion, a cataclysmic event that occurs when multiple realities of the multiverse come crashing together. Most of the landscape is composed of ghostly haze, crumbling buildings, and physical phenomena that would be impossible in our world. One of these supernatural details is a floating car, and not just any floating car. Specifically, it's the 1973 Oldsmobile Delta 88 that Sam Raimi includes in practically all of his movies. The vehicle first appeared on screen as Ash's car in the first Evil Dead, and it's also been driven by Spider-Man's Uncle Ben, among others. Like Bruce Campbell's oddball cameo, the
I
Delta
have to
88
watch
is
Evil
a
Dead at
touch
this
that Rain
point. I've just
quickly
heard it so
recognized and
much.
should be excited to see.
Mother gave it to brother, and he wound up putting every single movie
Oh
he
yeah,
ever
I've seen
made.
him in so much.
While trying Earth 616 and save America Chavez from the Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange encounters a strange variant of himself
From
who's
What
become
If?
intensely corrupted. Strange 616 doesn't realize the extent of his variant's villainy. Instead, it's the sinister Doctor Strange who demands proof of the other's identity, which is provided in the form of a tragic tale. Doctor Strange reveals that he had a sister named Donna who died as a child. She fell through the ice while they were playing on a frozen lake, and he was unable to save her. Donna Strange is also present in the comics, though her fate is a little bit different. She does experience a medical emergency at the age of 9, but her brother is able to help her through it. Later, as a teenager, Donna suffers a fierce cramp while swimming and ends up drowning. The original Doctor Strange movie was meant to have a scene showing this tragic element of Stephen's past, but it was ultimately cut from the final version, according to Digital Spy. Two different scenes, Multiverse of Madness shows the idyllic home life of Wanda, Tommy, and Billy on Earth 838. Both times, the kids are watching some kind of Disney classic on TV. The first time, in the scene where Scarlet Witch first dreamwalks into her 838 counterpart, the boys are watching an old black and white Disney animated film. Viewers can make out Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, a character that Walt Disney created and lost the rights to in the late 1920s.
When Scarlet Witch was going back to the other Earth to possess Wanda, I wasn't sure if that Wanda had superpowers or not. I just thought she was like a regular Wanda without powers of any kind. Until she blasted off and had that Iron Man moment. But I was like, does she have powers in this Earth? Or are you just possessing just a variant that doesn't have powers?
Oswald was effectively replaced by Mickey Mouse, who went on to become a symbol for the entire Disney company. Disney reacquired the rights to Oswald in 2005, and the character has since appeared in several Disney projects, including Multiverse of Madness.
Ooh, imagine if you had snatched up that character before they could get those rights back. Money.
Second time, when Wanda is thrown back into Universe 838 by America during the film's climax, Tommy and Billy are watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That could be seen as a thematically relevant choice, as it's the scene where Wanda wakes up from her enchantment, just as Snow White eventually wakes up from her own. At the end of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Stephen returns home, fixes the watch Christine gave him, and seems to be getting his life back on track.
That whole time, I thought the watch being broken, I thought that the cracks in it were was a map or a representation of the Multiverse of Madness, splitting apart and going into other versions and things from the Loki series. That's what I thought. I was putting way too much into it. And that can happen when you're watching Marvel stuff, so not crazy.
It isn't long before the bizarre strikes once again, however. While out for a walk, Doctor Strange is overcome with pain and begins convulsing on the ground. The camera then zooms in to show a third eye pop open on his forehead. Because the evil Doctor Strange encountered earlier in the film also had a third
from What
eye,
If?
and because he used the Darkhold constantly, it's possible that Strange 616's third eye is tied to his own use of the book.
Things just got out of hand.
A more likely possibility is that his ocular addition has to do with the Eye of Agamotto. In the comics, the Eye of Agamotto has a wide range of powers that have yet to be seen in the MCU. They mostly involve foresight, truth-seeing, and other abilities connected to knowledge and vision. These powers often manifest in the form of a third eye, which Doctor Strange can be seen sporting in a number of Marvel comics. Historically, Agamotto has been one of the Vishanti, 3 deities who aid the Sorcerer Supreme and the authors of the Book of Vishanti. It's possible that Strange is...
I don't know why I thought that the Book of Ashanti came from Wakanda.
Exposure to the book unlocked the eye's true powers. If you're not a comic book reader, the first post-credit scene of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness might not make a ton of sense. The scene shows a purple-clad woman played by Charlize Theron approaching Doctor Strange on the
she's about to
street
eat.
and recruiting him to help fix an incursion that she claims he caused. When he agrees, she slashes open a ragged dimensional portal, theoretically beginning the Doctor's next adventure. The credits reveal that Theron's character is Clea, an incredibly important figure in Doctor Strange's comic book history. Clea is a powerful sorcerer who lives most of her life in the Dark Dimension, where she frequently crosses paths with Dormammu, her uncle. She and Doctor Strange eventually strike up a romantic relationship and even get married. Her purple look, immense power, and no-nonsense attitude in Theron's iteration are all faithful to the comics. That bodes well for the next Doctor Strange movie, which will likely feature Clea working alongside Doctor Strange.
I was like, it's about to be lit.
One of our newest videos right here, plus even more.
Yes, it's about to be lit. When I saw Charlize Theron, I was like, first of all, she stays working. She's like always in something. So shout out to her for that. But I was like, she's a really good action actor. So like I'm excited to see what they do with her character. I've never obviously I don't read the comics, so I don't know much about this character, but just based on them casting her in it and her ability in Atomic Blonde and Mad Max and all the other, heck, even the the Fast and Furious series or whatever. She's been like the villain in the last two films. Like just seeing that, I'm like excited to see like where she goes. She plays a really good villain. So I don't think she's villainous in this one, but I'm just excited to see what they do with her character in the upcoming Marvel series because she's going to be putting in the work. I know for sure. But those are some of the small details on that I may have missed in the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Some stuff I was aware of. I knew like there were Easter eggs. I just didn't know what the connections were in a lot of them. But I did peep game to a lot of stuff. So shout out to me. I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one. But I'm curious about what's gonna happen to Wanda after. I don't think she's dead. They have that little poof moment, but she's not dead. But I just want to know what her agenda is gonna be now, since she gave up, you know, her children in a sense, or like let the other variant of herself stay with her children, and she didn't possess that Wanda from the other Earth. So I'm just like, so what do you do now? What is your purpose now? Because this whole time, Vision and her children were her, her reason for doing what she was doing, and now she doesn't have that anymore. Um, so like, what is her purpose now? So I'm intrigued, and we'll see where this journey takes us, this 10-year journey that Marvel has planned out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace!